Good morning, everyone. My name is Andrew Hall. You may call me Dr. Kennard. This is the Disappointed Cat Morning Show. I want to talk to you about Alex Jones. I think Alex Jones, let's take a look at Alex. If there was a spokesperson for angry, fascist, apple fritters, it would be this man right here. He's angry. He has way too much saturated fat in him. And angry apple fritters. I don't know. Maybe another unhealthy food stuff, a conspiratorial. I don't know. What would be the official dessert item for conspiracy? I'm not sure. I'm going with apple fritters myself. Mr. Jones is in trouble, and he's going to have to pay. Link to this story in the description below, everyone. Alex Jones just lost 2 Sandy Hook cases. A judge issued default judgments, a rarity in the legal world, against Jones and InfoWars over the conspiracy theorist failed to produce discovery records. How do you know you're going to lose, right? I mean, you can tell a defendant knows they are going to lose when they don't even try. They're like, we're not even going to give the court any records whatsoever. And in this case, Mr. Jones was that person. And the court decided, well, Mr. Jones, we're tired of your crap, and we're just going to fine you. We're just going to rule in favor of the people suing you. Let's get deeper into the story. InfoWars host Alex Jones has lost 2 of several lawsuits filed against him by relatives of Sandy Hook victims after he routinely failed to comply with requests to produce documents related to his involvement in spreading lies about the deadly shooting. Judge Maya Guela-Gamble on Monday issued her ruling for default judgments against Jones in 2 different cases, which means he and the conspiracy theory spewing outlet InfoWars have been found liable for all damages, and a jury will now be convened to determine how much he will owe the plaintiffs. The new rulings became public Thursday, which is yesterday, of course. In the filings, Gamble eviscerated Jones and reasoned that default judgments should be ordered because, quote, an escalating series of judicial admonishments, monetary penalties, and non-dispositive sanctions have all been ineffective at deterring the abuse, unquote, caused by Jones's unwillingness to turn over documents related to the cases, the Texas judge ruled. The ruling, which is often referred to in Texas as a death penalty sanction for a party unwilling to comply with court orders, is a rarity in the legal world. Jones, who is now on his 7th lawyer in these cases, had years to provide documentation requested by the court, including internal company emails. I wonder if he's like Donald J. Trump, who doesn't pay people, right? He's on his 7th lawyer? Where is it? It's his 7th lawyer in these cases. Huffington Post was the first to report the start of Jones's Sandy Hook legal woes in 2018, when parents Leonard Posner and Veronique De La Rosa filed a defamation lawsuit related to Jones's continued lies that the 2012 school shooting that left 20 children and 6 adults dead was a false flag hoax filled with crisis actors. Posner and De La Rosa's 6-year-old son Noah was killed in the shooting. In the years since, the parents have dealt with continual harassment from those who followed Jones's lead and claimed the shooting was faked. They had to deal with death threats from Jones's crazy followers. Yes, they had to deal with death threats. Their kid is dead, and they have Alex Jones shouting about how they're part of a false flag operation. Jones has lost a couple of different lawsuits, and I hope the jury crucifies him financially. I hope they do. I hope all of you do too, because that's why you're here, right? We're here to enjoy the Schadenfreude. with Jones getting into trouble. I'm going to check out the chat right now. I hope you're all doing well this morning. It's Friday. Isn't this it's a great way to start the weekend if your weekend is starting today, with knowing that Alex Jones is going to have to pay a pretty hefty fine. Good morning, Simply Secular Dave and Michael Stevenson. I'll say Stevenson. Was Alex Jones ever a winner, though? Well, he was able to con a lot of people into buying his crap. And Sammy, we were talking about this on Messenger. Sammy's state premier had to resign under corruption accusations, and it turns out that the premier was corrupt and a fascist at the same time. So something to celebrate, definitely. What's up, Dee Parks? Glad to see you're here. Grand Farmer, good morning. John Hudson, always a pleasure. Rage. So I think I might have figured out why my computer's been running so slow. A year and a half of autosave files from oh yeah, well, there you go. Thanks for giving the thumbs up, Rage. I appreciate it. Let's see, who else is in the chat? Blazing. Good morning, sir. Jess M, Jessi Bear, KCA Randy. It's indefensible. Indefensible. Jones's position is so indefensible, he doesn't even give up documents, because if he gave up documents, it would just incriminate him even more and maybe open him up to other lawsuits. That's what he's afraid of. Alex Jones is a typical, I like all the references you're throwing in there. I like all the words. Alex Jones is a typical right-wing, JQP, insurrectionist, fascist, Republican, Nazi. Yeah, I like that. I like the sound of that. What's up, Glenn Chesterton? Good to see you. Hey, and the girlfriend's in the chat too. Good morning, girlfriend. I think I got a Tessa Ranger. Good morning, Clockwork Rex. Always picking on the fascists. That's right, Dave. Always picking on the fascists. That's what I live for, to tell you the truth. Did someone say Christian fascists? Did you say Christian fascist, microphone? No. But that's our next story. It has to do with Christian fascists. It's actually quite a long story. Heathen Mehta, the friendly atheist, he writes short little news blurbs, but he actually took a lot of time, I feel, in writing this next story. And it's all about the city of Boston, the Christian flag, fascism, theocracy. It's all in there, everyone. Supreme Court will soon hear a case over Boston's refusal to fly a Christian flag. Now, you say to yourself, some of you may not know what the Christian flag looks like, and some of you may not know what the pledge to the Christian flag is. Do I have an infographic? Yes, I do. Here it is. I pledge allegiance to the Christian flag. Well, okay, so that's the name, that's the title of it. So here's the actual pledge. I pledge allegiance to the cross of our Lord Jesus Christ and to the faith for which it stands, one Savior, eternal, with mercy and grace for all. I'm sorry for the blurry picture. I was thinking about it today, and I'm thinking, the crappy special effects, the crappy, it just kind of keeps people distracted from the crappy content, right? Maybe, perhaps. But yes, I remember the Christian flag being in my church, displayed prominently, of course. And I have my own pledge. I have my own pledge that I want to share with you. I don't know if this is an atheist pledge. I don't know if this is a skeptic pledge. I don't know if this is just a Dr. Kennard pledge. But here's what my pledge is. I pledge allegiance not to be a dick, and when I fart in the car, I will roll the window down. Far better than the Christian pledge of allegiance right there, everyone. Far better. I'm so fond of it, I'm going to say it again. I pledge allegiance not to be a dick. And I could have stopped there, but I wanted to continue. And when I fart in the car, I will roll the window down. Just common decency. Is there anything more that we really have to pledge allegiance to than just not to be a dick? Everything else just seems to be indoctrination, doesn't it? All right, I'm going to check out the chat one more time before going into this story. Your state flag has a booby on it. Interesting. Clockwork Rex. Oh yeah, Jessi Bear. Yeah, if you've ever had to say anything like that while you're in charge, it is pretty. Yeah, it's a lack of imagination, Tesla Ranger. Oh hey, someone new. Give me a second while I do something here. Uh, remove. Excellent. And this is what's great about this. All right, I think that's sufficient. If anyone else wants to get rid of V57, that's fine. I do like, and I feel like as a satirist and as a performer, if I'm not irritating a certain amount of idiots, then I'm not doing your job. I'm not doing my job. Okay, so let's get into the story, everyone. Here it is. Once again, Supreme Court will hear a case over Boston's refusal to fly a Christian flag. The Supreme Court said today it will hear a case involving a Christian flag. The decision comes after the First Circuit Court of Appeals ruled this past January that the city of Boston was within its rights to reject flying a Christian flag outside City Hall Plaza. Some background. Harold Shurtleff is the director and co-founder of Camp Constitution, a non-profit fascist group. Oh, wait a minute. I added that in. A non-profit fascist group that promotes Christian fascist nationalism. Sure, I added those words in, but that's okay. That's okay. In 2017, Shurtleff applied for a permit to raise a Christian fascist flag on a pole outside City Hall Plaza to commemorate Constitution Day and Citizenship Day, but the city of Boston rejected his request. Shurtleff contended this was religious discrimination, even if the same rules prohibited atheist flags and Islamic flags and every other faith-based flag from going up. He said there are plenty of other flags with religious symbols that the city put up, including the national flag for Portugal during the city's Portuguese American Festival. The city even acknowledged the significance of that symbol on the website at the time. He said, plus the city flag for Boston includes a Latin phrase that translates, God be with us. God be with us as he was with our fathers. Religion itself wasn't the problem, he argued. So why weren't they letting him hoist a Christian flag when he went through all the proper motions? The answer is somewhat obvious. Officials told him non-secular flags weren't allowed on the city's flagpole. They also implied that an explicitly Christian flag was different from a national or local flag that happened to have a religious symbol on it. Shurtleff wasn't buying it, so he filed a lawsuit in 2018 claiming this was a violation of his constitutional rights to be a fascist. He didn't get very far with that one. That year, U.S. District Court Judge Denise J. Casper denied him a preliminary injunction, and in 2020, she officially rejected his challenge. In short, she said that Boston had every right to reject his Christian flag. There are no additional facts in the record that would suggest any improper preference for non-religion over religion or selective treatment of any person based on religion. The city did not alter its procedures for review of flag applications because of Camp Constitution's that's Camp Fascist Constitution's request. Instead, Camp Fascist Constitution's request presented a novel issue for the city's consideration, which the city considered consistent with its practice and policy. What about the argument that it was hypocritical to say no to a Christian flag while saying yes to a national flag with a Christian symbol? Not at all, the judge said. All of these flags, although they contained religious imagery, are secular flags of sovereign nations. Permitting such flags to be flown also allowed for the city's purpose of commemorating flags from many countries and communities and is not similar to a Christian flag proposed to be flown by Shurtleff, which is a religious flag. The court is not convinced that flags of countries or secular organizations and entities that contain religious references or imagery are the same as a Christian flag. And everyone agrees that the Christian flag is a non-secular flag. You know, this is an argument for us just to purge flags of Christian imagery or, religious imagery in general. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious, everyone. Well, the case is about to go in front of the Supreme Court. Oh, this is the bad news, which has spent much of its latest iteration rubber stamping any request made by religious groups, no matter how irrational it seems. Simply put, if the court allowed a giant Christian cross to remain up on government property, and it's only gotten more conservative since then, they're almost certainly going to say religious speech can't be promoted in this particular manner. Am I a lawyer? No. Will my prediction come true? Yes. Let me restate that again, everyone. They're certainly going to say religious speech can't be prohibited in this particular manner. So in other words, I'm saying it is obvious that the Supreme Court, with a majority of fascists, is going to allow a rule in favor of the Christian fascist flag flying in Boston. The question really becomes how far the court will stretch the privilege and how soon Satanists will get to apply to put up their own flag. To be clear, the court has an easy way out of this. There is no persecution in play here. If Muslims or atheists attempted what Shurtleff did, they would have also failed. The difference is that those groups know better than to try it. Shurtleff is just whining over nothing. And you know, Shurtleff, if you're a fascist, this is part of the playbook. You always have to be active. You always have to be putting the other side on defense, and the other side being people who hold Enlightenment values like we do, and that you always have to be the aggressor. That being said, I think it would be wise just to purge every single state flag, every single flag possible of Christian imagery, religious imagery. It should all go. We should get rid of "In God We Trust" on our coins. Every single state motto should be purged of theocratic imagery, because we cannot allow fascists, theocratic fascists, to have green zones in this country. We've seen what happens here. We've seen what happens in other countries where fascists, theocrats, are given free rein or allowed to have a toe in the door. I'm going to check out the chat. 28 comments. Hail Satan, indeed. I'll tell you a funny story. I'll wait for the after show for this. I did say hail Satan to an employee, to another co-worker the other day. Yeah, I make friends at work, everyone. Let's see, what else is going on here in the chat? Just doing some things, everyone. So, all right, so what are we doing here? Hail Hydra, that's good. So what have we done so far? We talked about Alex Jones having to pay through his butt. Well, it looks like he's going to have to pay for his butt. And also the fact that, unfortunately, the Supreme Court will probably be allowing a Christian flag to fly in Boston, a non-secular, religious flag. We should talk more about theocrats, about the grinding down of the political system here in the States, and what we really have to talk about the Congress versus the shutdown, and about the shenanigans and the chaos going on in Washington, D.C. Because I have thoughts on it. I'm sure you have thoughts on it too. Do you have thoughts on it, Microphone? Microphone has thoughts on it too. So I'm going to share with you this video just so that we stay updated with what's going on. And the thing is, situations change so quickly. Maybe it's changed since this video popped up. The name of the video is Congress Averts Shutdown by Passing Fundraising Bill. By Funding Bill, I'm sorry. Here we go, everyone.
And thank you for joining us on this busy Thursday here in the nation's capital. With just hours before the deadline, Congress voted to avoid a shutdown. And while that's good news, the crisis for the Democratic Party remains. That's because President Biden's domestic agenda is on the line. Progressives in the House say they won't vote for the bipartisan infrastructure plan to spend $1 trillion to fix our nation's roads, rails, and bridges, unless a much bigger social safety net bill is passed at the same time. Now, that $3.5 trillion bill includes programs like child care, universal pre-K, and other initiatives. There is a joke here in Washington that creating legislation is like making sausage. And tonight, the White House press secretary points out it's messy. Right now, there's plenty of talk and no hint of a compromise. We're going to break down all the moving parts with our team, starting with CBS's Nicole Killian, who leads us off from the Capitol. Good evening, Nicole.
Good evening, Nora. And avoiding the government shutdown was the least of lawmakers' worries today, as they now deal with another major deadline to try to deliver on one of President Biden's key priorities.
The motion is adopted.
On the brink of a possible shutdown, the House and Senate passed a bill to...
There's an echo? I'm sorry. I'm hearing echo. Maybe. I'll try something else. We don't want echoes here, do we? Technical issues? It doesn't happen. It happens all the time, actually. So I'm going to try this and see if this works, everyone. I don't think it will.
keep the government open through December 3rd, sparing thousands of federal workers from being furloughed.
The last thing the American people need is for the government to grind to a halt.
Instead, intransigence over infrastructure threatened to stall President Biden's agenda.
The way the president sees it is that this is an ongoing discussion, an ongoing negotiation.
House Democrats spent the better part of the day trying to round up votes to make good on a $1.2 trillion bipartisan bill to pay for shovel-ready projects to repair roads, rails, and bridges.
I plan on moving forward in a positive way, and everybody has to think that this is the path we're on.
Progressives maintain their opposition to the measure until a larger social spending package that encompasses everything from climate to childcare can get done in both chambers.
We are ready to do whatever we can to deliver the entirety of the president's agenda.
But they want to keep the price tag at $3.5 trillion. Butting heads with moderate senators like Arizona's Kyrsten Sinema and West Virginia's Joe Manchin, who says he won't go above 1.5. A number he says he's floated to the president and Democratic leaders.
What do you say to people who feel you and Senator Sinema are holding this whole thing up?
I'm not holding it. We only have 50 votes. Basically, take whatever we aren't able to come to agreement with today and take that on the campaign trail next year.
If the senator thinks electing more Democrats is how you get it done, then that is something he should state to the president, because this is the president's agenda.
This evening, Democratic aides are huddled with White House advisors to try to craft a compromise that will satisfy all sides. And if that happens, that could potentially pave the way for a vote on that smaller infrastructure package tonight. Nora?
Nicole Killian, thank you.
Let's go help people custom.